Hi everyone. Hello, hello. So, welcome to this session where we'll be starting off with reading comprehension and how to solve it for CAT. So, we'll just wait for a few minutes if we'll get some other people who join in. Generally, uh, people at this hour are a little. Oh, I started to check my phone for whether I'm live or not, and suddenly I'm hearing huge music. If you can hear me and see me, guys, quickly give me a yes or no. Am I audible, visible, all of that? Give me a yes or no so that I know that I'm audible, visible. Hi, Natasha. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, all of you. All those who can see me, can you quickly give me a yes or no? Say hi to me in the chat box so I know you guys are here. We are starting this entirely new series where I'm going to be starting to teach you, for CAT prep for CAT 2025. So if you just come for this 1 p.m. sessions that we are having, myself and Savitri ma'am, every afternoon, then you will be able to complete a lot of what is required for CAT, right? So that is the intention behind these sessions, that we learn as much as possible for CAT and we take it forward from there. In the previous sessions, we were doing PYQs, and we've done quite a bit of the PYQs, and I hope you were following those sessions and that you were taking the best advantage of that. Now, subsequently, now we're taking up one topic and covering those topics in detail so that you can learn, you can understand, you can solve RCs with me, with Savitri ma'am, and then we'll take it forward from there. Okay. So today we'll talk a little bit about RCs, about what are the questions, how do you solve those questions, and of course I'll take you through a sample RC also from one of the CAT papers. In fact, one of the CAT 2024 papers only, I will take you through it. Okay. But before we begin reading comprehension, as is now a ritual, let me ask you what you have read this week. So, what did you read? Quickly tell me. I know I should have a separate page and I should ask you there what have you been reading, but quickly let me know. Have you read the newspaper? All those who have read a newspaper this week, please say yes. If you've read a novel, you can write that you've read a novel, or you've read a larger piece of fiction, non-fiction. You've been reading some sort of non-fiction, whatever you have read. Guys, do let me know in the chat box what you're reading. Okay. I find that very, very helpful because then we understand what we are, preparing. Also, uh, we will cover today's vocabulary also, because every session I make you do some vocabulary. So let's get started with our vocabulary. So words for today, I'm going to give you again, like I say, every time we take up one root and then take a few words from them. So the root today is duck, which means to lead. Okay. And from this, you have so many words. You have ductile, which is any metal which can be drawn into wires. Okay, that is ductile. Then you have duke, a person who's a leader. Okay, you have product, something that is created out of something. You have production, the process of creating something. Okay, so whenever you see this root word duc, it has something to do with lead. You have induce, you have deduce, which you have reduce, you have seduce, right? And all of these words also have the deduction. So induction, deduction, reduction, right? Seduction. All of these words are related to the same root word Duke. Okay. Oh, wonderful, Ajay. Ajay is somebody who has read an article from Aeon. I had asked you to read the very first article from Aeon essay. If you have, that's wonderful. Very nice. Ajay, which article did you read? So therefore, the root word duke, leads, and then of course you have so many words from the same root word, which of course you can learn. Okay. All right. Let us continue and let us learn the importance of reading comprehension. See, everybody will tell you reading comprehension, do reading comprehension, do reading comprehension. But why do you need to do reading comprehension? Let's understand it. So there are in VARC, there are 24 questions. Okay. Out of which 16 come from reading comprehension and 8 come from verbal ability. Okay. Now, if your maths is good, you understand that 16 out of 24 is two-thirds of the passage or paper, or almost 60 to 70% of the paper. So here we are, we've got a small table or a chart which shows you the weightage of reading comprehension versus other verbal ability questions. So other verbal ability questions, you have 8 of these and you have 16 of these in CAT. So clearly you can see that the weightage of reading comprehension is much higher. Also, if you understand the percentiles that are required, so to get a 90 percentile, you only need to do around some 10 questions. Okay, correctly. So 10 questions means if you do 3 RCs also, you will be able to do those 10 questions. With 3 RCs, you can do 10 questions. In fact, you can do 12 questions and get 3 questions, get 10 questions right. So if you just do reading comprehension also, you will be able to crack your exam. At least get the minimum score that is required. However, if you were to depend on VA for this thing, you will not be able to do. Okay, Ajay, very nice. Yes, Ajay, please ask your doubt. You're always welcome to ask your doubt. So, if you were to do VA, then 8 questions would not suffice to help you crack this also, the 90 percentile also. So, you would have to do 8 of these and then do another RC here. So, therefore, if you want to crack CAT, you have to be able to solve your RCs and attempt them and do them very well. And that is why it's absolutely essential that we work on reading comprehension and we practice a reading comprehension and understand it. Now, what is reading comprehension? Of course, all of you understand there is a passage. It is followed by 4 questions, or in different exams. In that, you have 3 questions. In some other, you would have another number. Ajay, that is why we are starting this series where we will teach you how to do reading comprehension from scratch. So, how to take up each type of question. We will discuss each question type also. So, you learn question by question, type by type, how to do it, and I'll also help you practice it. Okay? I hope that is good for you. I know sometimes we are unable to do it, but that is how we will learn, by practicing. So when you will join me in the class, we will, keep doing this. All right. So therefore, I hope you've understood that reading comprehension is important, and without reading comprehension, you'll not be able to do well. Okay. So therefore, you must make sure that you're practicing adequately for reading comprehension. I What is reading comprehension? Of course, we understand it's all about reading, right? Now, if it is all about reading, then what is the number one thing we need to do to improve on this? Of course, we need to read. The more we will read, the better we will get at this. So, therefore, all of you have to start reading. Now, I will talk to you about the type of reading comprehensions also. So the question types in reading comprehension, you have 5 or 6 types of questions. So of course, the first and the foremost is the main idea question. The main idea question expects you to identify the central theme or the primary purpose. Why has the author written this passage? Okay. Or why write this passage, or why write this topic? Okay. So what is the logic behind author trying to write this? What is he trying to tell you? Okay. So that is the main idea. What is the author claiming, right? That is what the main idea is. So what do you look for? You look for repeated concepts, thesis statements, summary sentences, which tell you what the author is claiming. And how you can do this is you can summarize the passage in your own words and then look at the options and match. So that's the first type of question that you get, the main idea types. Okay. Then the second type of question that you get, and this is very popular, are the inference questions. Now, the inference questions, how do you do? You get conclusions or draw conclusions based on information that is implied but not directly stated. So you look for what the author meant when he said whatever he said. Okay. So this is an understanding. So what do you look for? You look for hints, suggestions, indirect statements, statements that lead to conclusions. You look for those, and those will help you. Strategy, you use evidence from the passage to support your inferred answer. Avoid extreme options, of course, all of that. So in an inference, we're looking for actually what the author intended to say, right? As against what he said. That's what we're looking for. The third type of question is the tone or the purpose question, which says you determine the author's attitude or the reason for writing. What is he writing? Why is he writing? All of that. How do you look for it? You can look for the adjectives. You can look for his stylistic choices. You can look for language, the emotional language that is there. Though that will help. What is the strategy? Consider whether the tone is critical, appreciative, analytical. Why did he choose to write the piece? And that will help you answer this. Okay, so here is why he has written this piece, right? So that is what you're looking for when you're doing the tone and purpose questions. Why has he written this passage? Okay. Then the next type of question is the factual question or the opinion questions. So sometimes they will ask you, what is the author's opinion, or what is it that the author has given you, right? And they will just ask you this. So you can distinguish between factual statements and the author's opinions or interpretation. What do you look for? You look for data, stats, verifiable information, things that are mentioned in the passage. The signal words like believe, suggest, evidence, proven will help you answer these questions. Then the extended idea questions is the next type of question. The extended idea type of question tells you what you will conclude, what you will conclude. So you take the concepts from the passage to new concepts or broader scenarios. So look for what the author's fundamental principle or theory is and then take it forward. Now, strategy, of course, is understand the core idea thoroughly so you can extend it logically beyond the passage. So extended idea is if author has given an example and then he says, okay, so if you were in the author's shoes, which of the following options would you choose? So this is application of what the author has said in your own words. And then, of course, the last type is the critical reasoning, where you evaluate the arguments presented, you identify assumptions, you strengthen or weaken the arguments, you find logical flaws. What do you look for? Look for the premise of the author, look for his conclusion or claim, look for the conjunctions. Then break down this argument into its components and try and understand what he's trying to say and how you can strengthen it, weaken it, how do you identify the assumption, work on those types of questions. Okay, so these are the basic types of questions that you can get. You could also get questions on vocabulary, but those are very, very rare, very few and very far in between. Now, of course, today I thought that we will talk a little bit about reading comprehension, how to read, and also I will take you through a practice RC. So before I take you to the practice RC, here is what we need to pay attention to. So when you're reading a passage, you must always keep an eye out for what the author is saying. So how do you do that? You look for keywords. Okay, which keywords? You look for keywords that are repeated. Okay, look for the repeated keywords. Now, how will I look for what keywords am I looking for? I'm looking for three types of keywords. Number one, I'm looking for nouns and pronouns. Because remember, nouns and pronouns are the subject of the sentence or the subject of the passage. So any keyword that you see again and again essentially is a keyword that is telling you the topic of the passage. Okay, so therefore it is essential that you spot this. So that's number one. Number two, the second type of keyword that you look for is adjectives and adverbs, descriptive words. Now, why are we looking for adjectives or adverbs or descriptive words? Because you want to see what the tone of the author is. Is he being positive about an idea? Is he being negative about an idea? Is he neutral about an idea? What is he saying? So you look for that. And number three, you also look for conjunctions. The conjunctions or the transition words show you the logical flow of the passage. So are you going from positive thought to positive thought? Are you going from positive thought to negative thought? Which way is the passage going? You are able to see when you look at the conjunctions or the transition words. Let me write that. Okay, so the transition words are also very important when we are trying to solve the RCs. So when you're reading, you pay attention to the transition words also. Okay, so these are the things that you will keep in mind while you're reading the passage. Also, what you keep in mind is data, that is numbers, names, examples. Okay, if there are any comparisons given, these you pay attention to. Why? Because these are places where questions are made from. So these are essentially what? They're question pockets. So when you see any names, numbers, examples, comparisons, these are question pockets, and therefore these become very important. Any quotations that are given also. Okay, so pay attention to that. So these things you remember while you're solving your practice RC or while you're solving any RC. Okay. Now today I have a very nice small passage for you guys, which we will try and solve together. And then we will take a look at the questions also. This one is from CAT 2024. I think this is from slot 3, which was my slot. And it's a nice passage. Maybe a little, just to give you an idea of what the CAT passages are like. I've brought this one. Take a look. I will slowly help you reach this level also. Okay. All right. Here's your passage. Okay. Let's take a moment and read it. And okay, what I've done is I've put out the passage on a page so that you find it easier to read. And once you've read it, then we will take a look at it and discuss it. Okay. Let's read. I'm going to give you 2-3 minutes to read this one. I'll also keep reading it along with you. Nikhil, CMAT, please focus on reasoning and, of course, do your vocabulary very well. That's very important. Okay. So this passage says there is a group. So there is a group in the space community who view the solar system not as an opportunity to expand human potential, but as a nature preserve. Forever, the provenance of an elite group, provenance means control, of an elite group of scientists and their sanitary robotic probes. These planetary protection advocates they ask for avoiding harmful contamination of celestial bodies. They say don't contaminate space. Under this regime, NASA incurs great expense in sterilizing robotic probes in order to prevent the contamination of entirely theoretical biospheres. See, so he's saying these biospheres may not be really true, they may just be theoretical. That's something that the author opines. Right? Let me Mark this. Transporting bacteria would matter if Mars were a vital world once imagined by astronomers who mistook optical illusions for canals. So, if Mars were a vital world, if people were living there, then bacteria transportation would matter. That would be important. Nobody wants to expose Martians to measles, but sadly, robotic exploration reveals a bleak, rusted landscape. There's nothing, lacking oxygen and flooded with radiation, ready to sterilize any earthly microbes. So, if we send any microbes, they are going to be sterilized right away. They're not going to be killing anything. Simple life might exist underground or down at the bottom of a deep canyon, but it has been very hard to find with robots. The upside from human exploration and development of Mars clearly outweigh the welfare of purely speculative Martian fungi. So essentially what the author is saying is that there is high probability that there is nothing there. Okay, there's probably no people who are going to get destroyed by or contaminated by our bacteria or virus or anything. The other likely targets of human exploration, development, and settlement, Moon and the asteroids, exist in a desiccated, radiation soaked realm of hard vacuum and extreme temperature variations. That would kill nearly anything. So, there we have no fear only. We send a virus, the virus will die. It's also important to note that many international competitors will anyway ignore the demands of these protection extremists. So they're not going to bother about these people who are shouting away to glory. Oh, please save the, outer space creatures. For example, China recently sent a terrarium to the moon and germinated a plant seed with unsurprisingly no protest from its own scientific community. They're not protesting at all. Okay. In contrast, when it was recently revealed that a researcher had surreptitiously, secretly smuggled super resilient microscopic tardigrades aboard the ill-fated Israeli Bereshit lunar probe, a firestorm was unleashed within the space community. Now, see, China takes a plant to the moon and sows a seed. Nobody says anything, not even one Chinese scientist says anything. And here you sent one microscopic tardigrade, and there was a huge baval, right? So author is saying that people are making an unnecessary fuss about all of this, right? Very, very clearly, he says that there is an unnecessary fuss about all of this. Firestorm was unleashed. Nobody really would bother. Now, NASA's previous human exploration efforts made no serious attempt at sterility. They made no serious attempt at sterility. They didn't. And nobody cared. There's little notice. As the Mars expert Robert Zubrin noted in the National Review, US lunar landings did not leave the campsites cleaner than they found it. So they also didn't do anything. Apollo's bacteria infested litter included bags of feces. So they left the fecal matter there, forcing NASA's proposed Mars exploration to do better. Scrubbing everything and hauling out all the trash would destroy NASA's human exploration budget and encroach on the agency's uh, other directorates too. Getting future astronauts off Mars is enough of a challenge without trying to tote weeks of waste along as well. It's a very difficult task. Can they really do it? It's a big, big challenge. So to expect that this thing will happen is probably very difficult. Okay. So enough of a challenge. Okay. So author does not like this idea of us trying to clean up, our garbage and do all of that. A reasonable compromise. So this is something that can be really done is to continue on the course. So you just do what you did. Laid out by the US government and the National Research Council, which proposed a system of zones on Mars. So there will be some for science, some for habitation, some for resource exploitation. Now, this approach will minimize contamination, maximize scientific exploration. Mars presents what a stark choice of diverging human futures. You could have very different human futures, and it's very harsh. We can turn inward, pursuing even more limited futures while we await whichever natural or man made disaster will eradicate our species and life on Earth. Or alternatively, we can choose to propel our biosphere further into the solar system, simultaneously protecting our home planet and providing a backup plan for the only life we know exists in the universe. Okay, so he's essentially saying that this is what you can do. Are the lives on Earth worth less than some hypothetical microbe lurking under Martian rocks? So we have two courses of actions that are available. We can just go out into the space and fight it. Okay, just go. Or we can just stay here and try to keep everyone else sanitized and everything and just, you know, stop our species from doing anything. So two choices: turning inwards or propelling our biosphere further. This is your passage. What an interesting passage, guys. I hope you found it as interesting as I'm finding it. We are talking about how humans could go to space and could just, destroy everything, or stay here and destroy nothing, but the species goes for a toss. So that is a very interesting, very lovely passage that we have. Guys, did this passage make any sense for you all? Did you understand the passage? As I was going along, I was trying to explain it to you also. Yeah. Now, if you were to look at it, what did we talk about? We spoke about uh, uh, Mars. We spoke about people who would try to stop uh, humans from going out. We spoke about contamination of the other planets or other societies. And we said we can be brave hearts and just go out and do whatever we want to. Okay. I hope you've understood. If you have, can you give me a quick yes or right that you have understood this thing, this whole story that we were talking about? Adit, is it good to take MBA after WorkX or without experience? Adit, either ways works, because in India, a lot of people without WorkX also go and do MBAs. On the other hand, if you have around 2 years of WorkX, you also get extra marks for that. So it's totally up to you. If you're finding a good job, please take it. Then give yourself a couple of years. If not, then you just do your MBA. Okay, that's perfectly okay. Choice is absolutely yours. I will not say anything else. I always say it's your choice, the way you want to take it. All right, guys, can you also all hit the like button, please? As of now, I only see some likes and not too many. All right, here is your first question. It's a nice question. The author's overall tone in the first paragraph. So look at the first paragraph. This, of course, is the first paragraph. Look at the first paragraph. See if the author is positive, negative, neutral. Which way is he going? And then tell me what the correct answer is. Okay. I'm going to wait for your answers. What is the author's overall tone? It's a very, very interesting passage. Is he approving of the amount of money that NASA is spending to restrict the spread of contamination? Is he skeptical about the excessive efforts to sanitize planets where life has not yet been proven? Is he indifferent? He doesn't care to the elitism of the few scientists aiming to corner space exploration? Or is he equivocal? That means he's undecided. So see, now the question is so beautiful. This is such a lovely tone question. He's asking if the passage is asking if the author is positive about it, if he is negative, if he is neutral to it, or if he is undecided. Now, clearly, if you read this passage, the one thing that we clearly understand is that the author finds this very useless. He is very negative about this thing, right? So therefore, the correct answer for this question should be what? Tell me. I'm going to check. Come on, guys. What should the correct answer be for this question? Is he positive or is he negative? He's clearly negative, right? So if he is negative, then guys, the answer clearly cannot be 1. Let's eliminate. It should be 2. It cannot be 3 because that's neutral. And if he's equivocal, that's also sort of neutral only. So the correct answer here in this case will be option number 2, which says he's skeptical. Now, is he skeptical? Of course he was, right? He had said that this it doesn't make sense. There's such a lot of challenge. You don't want to carry all that cleaning equipment. You've already done all of that. So very clearly, he's skeptical about the efforts. Now, if you have understood this, quickly give me a yes or no, and we'll go to the next question in the meanwhile. All right, here's the second question. It says the author mentions all of the following reasons to dismiss concern about contaminating Mars except. So remember, when the question says except, he is saying which one is not a reason to dismiss concerns about contaminating Mars. So we've already contaminated it all that we could, right? Oh no, we have actually never been to Mars, so we've never contaminated it. Okay, but what is the point of, so what are the reasons to dismiss concerns? Eliminate those. What is not a reason will become the correct answer. Okay, let's take a look. So option number 1 says the lack of evidence of living organisms on Mars makes possible contamination from earthly microbes a moot point. If there is no evidence that there is living organisms, so then what is the point of worrying about possible contamination? So it's moot. So yes, this is a reason for dismissing. So that means this cannot be an answer. I'll eliminate. The use of similar probes on astronomical bodies like the moon have had little effect on the environment. Well, this was really not mentioned as a reason to dismiss concern. So I'm going to put a star on this and wait about this. Efforts to contain contamination on Mars are likely to be derailed as competitor countries may not follow similar restrictions. Well, that was mentioned somewhere that China, international competitors will ignore the demands. So therefore, this is one of the reasons that you dismiss the concerns about, contaminating Mars. So eliminate. Look at, for earlier explorations have already contaminated pristine space. We've already done it. So now what is left? It's not left. So 4 is gone. So then the only answer that is possible for us is option number 2. That on astronomical bodies like the moon have had little effect. So they're probably not going to have any effect later. So this is one of the reasons to not dismiss concerns. Okay. Reasons to dismiss concern: 1, 3, and 4. Okay. I hope you got that. All right, let's go to the next question. Here's question number 3. So the author is unlikely to disagree. Okay, let's take a look at this question. The author is unlikely to disagree with any of the following except. Okay, so I got 3 negatives here. Pay attention. So there is unlikely, there is disagree, and there is except. So if I were to eliminate, I could eliminate unlikely and except, and I will have disagree. So author is going to disagree with which of these? Okay, and that's going to be my answer. So author is going to disagree with which of these? Let's take a look. The proposal for a zonal segregation of Martian landscape into regions for different purposes, he's going to agree with this. Okay, he's already said that let us segregate, right? That while NASA's earlier missions were not ideal in their approach to space contamination, they likely did no grave damage. So author will agree with this also. Okay. Space contamination should be minimized until the possibility of life on the astronomical body being explored is ruled out. Now, he has not said anything like that you first clean up that plane and then minimize. right? First you clean up the planet, worry about where there is life or not, and then do it. He did not say that, so I'll put a star on this. The exorbitant cost of continuing to keep the space environment pristine may be unsustainable. He has said that NASA will find it very expensive, right? Somewhere. Okay, so therefore 4 is something that he will agree with. So which one he's going to disagree with will be option number 3, that space contamination should be minimized until the possibility of life on the planet is ruled out. So very clearly the correct answer is going to be 3. Now, pay attention. Generally, we do not have 3 negatives in a question, but what if we do? For example, here there were 3 negatives, and the minute you got these 3 negatives, what you simply did was every time there is a negative, cancel out 2. So I cancelled out unlikely and accept, and then I had disagree that was left. So I said author is going to disagree with which of these. So clearly the answer had to be option number 3. That's the option that he would disagree with. So that became your answer. All right, let's look at the next question. Now, this question, guys, says the contrasting reactions to the Chinese and Israeli contamination of lunar space. Now, see, where did we speak about this? We spoke about this here in the third paragraph, that China sent a terrarium to the moon. Nobody said anything. The scientific community did not even say anything. In contrast, when the Israeli lunar probe took up something, a firestorm was unleashed, right? Within the space community, everybody said something. Now, see, I told you while we were talking about what to pay attention to. Now, here is such a beautiful example and such beautiful contrast that is given. So the question is set on this, and the question says that okay, so if there is a contrast, why has the author mentioned this contrast? What was the reason that he wanted to tell you? So the reason why he wanted to tell you was also mentioned here, that that many international competitors will ignore the demands while you are bending over backwards trying to keep space clean. The other competitors are not even going to bother about it. China is sending away happily pata nahi what all into the space, and you are worried that oh, one tiny microscopic virus has gone into the space. So therefore, this example becomes so important, and this contrasting reactions is evidence of China's reasonable approach. Now, is this reasonable? I don't know. The contrasting reactions are valid as the contamination of lunar environment from animal sources is far greater than from plants. Well, this was really not mentioned, so I can eliminate 2. They reveal global biases prevalent in attitudes towards different countries. But do they reveal global biases that are but Chinese own people only did not say anything, right? But here in the West, their own people create a firestorm. So does it really reveal global biases prevalent in attitudes towards different countries? No. They indicate that national scientists may have different sensitivities to issues of biosphere protection. Yes, and this is the correct answer. This is the one that says that different countries have different sensitivities, and therefore there may be different responses. So you pay attention, and 4 becomes the correct answer. Okay, I hope you got that. Guys, now if you look at this passage, this is such a beautiful passage from CAT 2024, right? And very easy to solve also. So if you have read the passage, if you have paid attention to the words, now see, there was a tone question here. The tone question could have been answered by identifying the adjectives, adverbs, the kind of phrases and clauses that he had. This question, the example question, if you had just paid attention to this contrasting example, you would have known that here is something that I need. So while you were reading, if you had paid attention to this, you would have understood that here is a question pocket, and then paid attention, and then you could have solved this question. So the questions, guys, are not very tough in CAT. I'm not saying they're very easy, but you can do well at this. Provided you start learning how to pay attention to things, what are the things that you pay attention to, right? What are the things that you will keep in mind? Once you start doing that, then it will become so much easier for you to solve your paper and to do well in cat examination. Okay, so of course, some tips for your improvement, like always, every time we will have something or the other to say about all of this. Now, every day, please read diverse content every single day. Read editorials, read essays, read reports. A lot of articles from New York Times, from Guardian, come into your exam, from Aeon essays. These are all very popular sources, from Economist. Okay. These are very popular sources. From JSTOR, we've seen so many articles. Now, these are all places where there are plenty of articles. Read every single day. Spend 20 minutes minimum in reading. What will happen is you will start, you know, you will start feeling comfortable with reading. The biggest problem that people face is that they are discomforted by the idea of reading for longer times. So if you get into the habit of reading for 20 minutes also every day right now, by the time you come to cat, you would have, made a lot of changes in your reading. So therefore, 20 minutes every single day read. Then number two, maintain a vocabulary book for unfamiliar words. You will read, you will find difficult words, put them down in a notebook. When you've put them down in your notebook, write down synonyms, write down antonyms, write down a couple of sentences. What's stopping you? Right? You're trying to improve yourself. So keep this vocabulary book. At the end of the year, you'll have a nice fat book with lots of words that you don't know. If you have a dictionary, that doesn't help you, because dictionary has 1,000 words which you don't need, but you don't know. But when you make your own notebook, here are the words that you don't know and which you will need, right? So those are very relevant to you. So create your vocabulary journal. Practice 1 to 2 RC passages every day. Right now, even if you practice one passage every day, then you will find it better. Yes, practice with a timer. Why? What happens is people initially start without a timer. So they're reading one passage in 40 minutes. But that makes no sense, right? If you're spending 40 minutes in reading a passage and solving 4 questions, you're never going to get into that habit. So from day one, if you put a timer to yourself, okay, first day, excuse me, the first time you read, you put a timer so you know how much time you took, right? Let's say you took 25 minutes today in reading one passage. Okay. So what you do is the next day onwards, put a timer of, let's say, 22 minutes. Okay. For the passage for, let's say, 1 week. After that, for the next week, put a timer for 20 minutes for the passage. Okay. 1 week. Then every week, keep reducing your time. What will happen is, see, we have to read 4 passages and another 8 questions, okay, which would probably be another 2 hours in length, in 40 minutes, right? So therefore, we have to be able to read all this. So if you want to be able to read, if you do, let's say, 1 RC in 8 minutes, in the exam, you will do it in 10 minutes. So you will be able to do all 4 RCs, which means you'll be able to do 16 questions and crack it. Okay, so therefore we must get into the habit of doing 1 RC in 8 minutes. So therefore you reduce your time from whatever time it is to 8 minutes. Now this is a very slow process. It will take time. But that's okay. We have time. We have almost a year. Right now we're sitting in January. The exam is going to be in November. So we have 11 months at hand. That's enough time for anyone to change the world, let alone learn how to read, or let alone get into the habit of reading. So read every day, read it with an intent. Please understand, you are not reading without a purpose. It is very purposeful, that this thing that you're doing with reading. You want to crack cat, and there subsequently you want to get into a good college, right? So that's your end goal. For that end goal, if you have to spend 20 minutes every day in reading, what is the harm? There is no harm, right? So please read every day. Whatever RC you solve, please review all the incorrect answers and check to see why they were wrong. Okay, this is also very important because a lot of times we don't see what is going wrong, and that's a very big problem. Okay, so make sure that you read, you find out what is wrong with your reading, and then take it forward from wherever you are. Okay, all right guys, I think that is it from me. I've already told you we will read something, so let's say Aeon essays. You can read one article. Okay, and maybe you can read one article from Guardian. Okay, any one article from, let's say, editorial. Okay, read something from the Guardian editorial. So I'm asking you to read one Aeon essay and one Guardian editorial. Read, and whatever else you want to read, please read. Okay, do 5 words every day. Okay, as well read one passage every day. Okay, that's something that you must get into the habit of every single day. This will help you crack your exam. Thank you so much guys, I will see you soon. Okay, bye bye. My next session is going to be on Sunday. Okay, let me quickly tell you. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. These are 3 days that we are coming to you with CAT preparation. I will be taking up sessions on Fridays and Sundays at 1 p.m. and Savitri ma'am will be taking it on Saturdays. So we're going to be talking about CAT VARC in depth, reading comprehension on Friday and Saturday, and VA on Sunday. We've started with parajumbles and we'll carry on with parajumbles, with para-based questions, and subsequently different types of questions for verbal ability. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. I hope all of you have hit the like button. If you haven't, then do that. Makes me happy. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a nice day. I'll see you next week.